What's good, Buff Nation? Once again, is there another rumor about Coach Prime? True? It's kind of crazy because if you really think about it, since Coach Prime has gotten to Colorado, the elaborate stories about him and what the team is doing, the players have done, it's probably escalated like 1,000% compared, or 10,000% compared to what Colorado has ever seen. And it doesn't seem like it's gotten any quieter at all, because most recently during Coach Prime's press conference, his weekly press conference, his preparation for the Colorado State rivalry game this week, he had to address a couple of rumors of not only Shedeur Sanders being a poor teammate, and also that he said something to the band to the effect of disrespecting Colorado as a whole. And I think it's once again utterly ridiculous that here we are talking about this, because we know when those rumors come out and they hit these websites, they hit social media, they garner clicks. As someone that has a YouTube channel that talks about Coach Prime and enjoys talking about his journey as a head coach, yeah, we get additional clicks for videos like this. So let's jump right in it. And I'm going to tell you all some things that Coach Prime said in his presser that Colorado fans definitely need to hear. So make sure you stick around for that here on the Prime Time for College Football. All right, let's dive into this first. The first rumor that went out is around Shedeur Sanders. So we all know at the end of the game against the Nebraska, Shedeur left, and you saw him roughly 2 minutes leaving to go to the locker room. And so the media thought on that was that Shedeur basically quit on his team and he was leaving, and, he didn't want to watch them continue to lose or watch other players lose. It was fascinating that that's exactly how it circulated throughout Saturday. I didn't really address it in any of my videos before because it just didn't sound right. So I wanted to wait and see what comes out. And sure enough, here we go. Coach Prime addressed it immediately in his presser, and this is what he said. It was a TV timeout. The doctors don't want to take players into the locker room while the play is going on, so it's professional that you wait a TV timeout to take the guys in the locker room to get them checked out. Coach Prime explained, some of you guys failed to mention defensive lineman Chidozie was 10 steps in front of Shedeur when they were going in. Chidozie was 10 steps in front of Shedeur when they were going in to get checked out by the doctors. Now remember, Shedeur got knocked out of the game, and that was why backup Ryan Staub came into the game, because Shedeur needed to get checked out by the doctors. And so they went and took him to the back during the TV timeout. Prime was pretty frustrated by that. And you can tell just by the way that he was speaking at the presser, and I kind of got it. I understand. I'd be pretty ticked off too if every time I look up, there's another story being manufactured about me being a selfish person, my kids or my players being selfish in all these capacities. It's like everyone's making this stuff up, because if you remember in that play where Shedeur came out and more so was banged up, the Nebraska linebacker, Bayer, he was ejected for targeting. So when Shedeur left the game, it wasn't because, he was disgusted or he was being selfish or leaving his teammates behind. He's being checked out by the doctors. So if we're going to leverage these independent neurologists where we think players have head injuries, shouldn't we take that in consideration when players come out the game? We recognize he was coming out because of the hit. Yeah, we should probably give some sort of grace there. And Coach Prime was pretty perturbed there. And he continued on. The next one was a story by denversports.com. It's 104.5 The Fan, I guess, there in Denver. And I say that as a whatever because I don't want to give them too much press, but they basically said that Coach Prime told the band they're not allowed to play the Colorado fight song if Shedeur scores a touchdown, because they're going to play over the loudspeaker Shedeur's song, Perfect Timing. And of course, Prime has something to say. This is what he pulled up. Whoever reported that I told the band not to play the fight song, that is idiotic. Y'all know that when you say that, you knew that was a lie. You got to start having some kind of accountability to this. I understand that this is a free and open world, that everyone is not a journalist. Everybody is not an analyst. Everybody really hasn't put in a lot of work to do what y'all do. Thankful for many of y'all to take your job seriously and your craft seriously. And consequently, you get facts because you don't run with false narratives. But please know that stuff impacts people. You have attacked me. You've been attacking me my whole life. So I am good. But other people that are involved, band members, Buffs faithful and alum and all of that, sometimes they don't know what to believe. And oftentimes in life, we believe the first thing we hear, which we shouldn't. I just would challenge you to be more responsible with your reporting. Straight up, Coach Prime called him out. It's pretty ridiculous that this is something that still continues to go on. Look, I've been a Deion Sanders fan since I was a kid. And that's the reason why I joined on this channel with my guy TJ, because I've always enjoyed Deion, and I'm curious to see if he can make this happen at the collegiate level as a coach. He went the most unconventional way. He's one of the very few out there that's got the opportunity to do it. And he's brought a substantial amount of attention there to Boulder. And that's not a bad thing, right? And he's, like I said, he's taken a very unconventional way of trying to figure this out. The good thing for him is he walked in with two really good players. I mean, three, if you really think about it, with Shiloh being experienced in the defensive side. And he's got the best two-way player in college football. And then his son, who's considered one of the top quarterbacks in the league. He gets lucky to have this day one. Not everybody gets this, right? And so he's trying to come out there and do something different. And it intrigued me. This is why we're here. So on that, Coach Prime did his typical Q&A. He answered some questions or whatnot. And some of the things he pointed out was defensively, second half, they stepped up and showed out. And the big thing is we got to start strong. And that's what Prime pointed out. He pointed out starting off strong, having accountability, all of that. And so he knows that there's an urgency here that this team needs to have going forward to show up at the beginning of the game as well as at the end. They've only given up 6 points in the second half of 2 games total. 6 points total in the last 2 games in the second half. They've got to stop at 47 points in the first half. Got to stop allowing points in the first half. And, Prime has recognized that, right? Another thing that we talked about here on the show that we know that this team needs to run. So far, the team has not accumulated 100 yards rushing in 2 games for the season. They have not put together 100 yards. And Prime recognized that. And so he called it out. He says that, sometimes the game dictates certain things you must do. And I think you guys see that on those third and shorts, fourth and shorts. We try to do that. We try to run the ball. It's an attitude. And overall, in his quote, it's they've got to get the offense, they've got to get the run game established, but they're going to take what the defense gives them. And I understand that. The team plays better with the ball in Shedeur's hands, but at the same time, the next point that he goes through is the offensive line, the struggles there. And the offensive line has to play better, and he understands that. He understands that you got to do better, not only with planning, but the offensive line just has to perform. And so we know that that's true. We know that that's something that he is, very passionate about and knows that that's what we got to do. We've got to do better, but at the same time, nobody's saying anything about the offensive line when they're putting up their 500 yards, right? Putting up 500 yards of offense, anybody saying the questions. But in the game where they kind of struggle, if they go out there and run for 200 yards, you are going to go, why didn't you throw it on 3rd and 2? And he kind of threw that back at the media and asked them, okay, if we do perform that, then what's going to be your next question, right? We got to make sure that we have some balance here. And I kind of get where he gets a little defensive there, but at the same time, I still agree with the media. Even I've said it here. He's got to establish the run to help Shedeur. You can't be putting it on that man's shoulders all the time because you know that teams are going to look for that. Last thing that came out of this is the rivalries, right? He's got to play against Colorado State, just coming from a back-to-back, coming against, playing against Nebraska. So back-to-back rivalry games. And you know that both teams are going to come ready to play. And so he knows that for the Buffs, they need to do the same. They're excited about the game. They're focused on it. They want to make sure that they put out a great product and be successful for you, Buffs fans. And I'm pretty excited to see what happens in here. Let me know what y'all think. Hop in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Is there anything from the press conference that you all took in account? Anything that you heard that made you have questions? We'll love to hear from you all. All right. We'll talk more about Colorado State later this week. You can check out the last video that I did with my guy TJ right up here, as well as make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of our videos. We also talked about, the injury status of Shedeur and all of that in one of the last videos. Check that out on the channel. All right. We'll talk soon.